Today, I'm going to be looking at some of the most underappreciated fighters in the UFC. Now, whether they're underappreciated by fans or the UFC brass, these fighters do not get the flowers they deserve, and I think it's time we start respecting them. So without further ado, I picked out the most underappreciated fighter from each weight class, and we'll go through them here real quick. Starting at flyweight, perhaps one of the most underappreciated fighters in UFC history. Alejandro Pantoja has 3 title defenses. He almost never headlines a card. He got his first card headliner fighting Kaya Sakura on 310, which was only because the main event fell out. And if you look at the rankings, Pantoja is number 10 pound for pound with 3 title defenses. Do you not realize how sick that is? How is JDM over him already, and JDM just won the title? And then you got Magomed Ankalaev and Pereira both over him. Bro, Pereira's coming off a loss. Magomed also just won the title. And yeah, he beat Pereira, but let's just call it what it is. Pereira was an easy matchup for Ankalaev. And it wasn't even that good of a performance. So how in the world is Alejandro Pantoja, who's lapped his division probably 2 or 3 times now, literally everyone in the division he's already beat. And it's only rematches. Kai France is going to be a rematch. Manel Kape rematch. He beat Brandon Moreno twice in the UFC, once on the Ultimate Fighter. Brandon Royval he beat. Steve Erceg, Kaya Sakura, all these guys at the top of the division. Alex Perez. He's literally lapped everyone. He's cleared out his division more than almost any champion we've ever seen in UFC history. And somehow he's still 10 pound for pound. Not to mention he has some of the best jiu-jitsu, pretty solid striking, amazing pressure, a solid chin. And you're putting him number 10 pound for pound. This is so disrespectful. Like, whoever makes these rankings has absolutely no clue what they're talking about. But on top of everything else, they have zero appreciation for Alejandro Pantoja and his skills, because he truly is one of the most elite UFC fighters on the roster. We have another fighter in a similar position to him, is underappreciated by the UFC, that I'll get to later. But next, we're going to bantamweight. I had to go Petr Yan, former champion, lost his belt due to an illegal knee. After that, he loses a close split decision to the same guy that beat him via DQ in Aljamain Sterling. After that, he gets 50-45 by Merab Dvalishvili, the current bantamweight champion, arguably the bantamweight GOAT. And then before the Merab fight, he lost to Sean O'Malley too in another super close decision. Then after that, 50-45 by Merab. But he's since come back and he has wins over Song Yadong and Figgy. People are saying you should give him Sandhagen or Umar. If anyone deserves a title shot next, it's Yan. How are you going to say Sandhagen deserves it over Yan when Yan literally 50-45, 49-46 Sandhagen? Yan destroyed Sandhagen, and people want to give it to Sandhagen. We all know Sandhagen has worse defensive grappling than Yan, worse striking than Yan. That sounds outrageous to say, but you got to remember Petr Yan has some of the most technical striking that we've ever seen in the UFC. He has beautiful trips, very defensively sound. And honestly, I think Petr Yan's the type of fighter that's smart enough to curate a beautiful game plan to defeat Merab. If anyone can do it, Yan can do it. Who knows, maybe O'Malley catches him, but even if O'Malley does win, Petr Yan definitely deserves the rematch, because we all know how that fight went. Watching it live, I thought Yan won. Similar damage on the feet. He was able to take Sean down. I think Sean did win that 3rd round, though. But still, Yan looked good against O'Malley and should have won. And if O'Malley didn't have plot armor, he would have been minced meat, nowhere to be seen in the title pictures. So he should be thanking the judges, and I just think Jan's had a very long streak of bad luck, and he's recovering. He bounced back and got 2 wins over a former champion, Figueiredo, and a very good prospect in Song Yadong. So I think the argument for him to get a title shot is much stronger than someone like Corey Sandhagen, personally. But you guys got to let me know what you think. At featherweight, Aljamain Sterling is 100% the most underappreciated fighter in this division. If you look at the Calvin Kattar fight, he literally dominated him from pillar to post, and then he fights Movsar Evloev, likely a future champion, the best grappling in the featherweight division, and arguably wins, which I thought he did beat Evloev. He had more control time. Don't quote me on that, but I'm just speaking from my recollection of the fight. He had more control time, again, in my recollection, and more takedowns. And then Movsar landed one good shot on the feet. But other than that, Aljamain Sterling was doing very solid on the ground. Controlling him, taking him down at will. And just had some amazing scrambles with Evloev. And even if you think he lost, that still doesn't take away from the fact that he put up an amazing fight. On top of that, he's the most underappreciated champion of all time, probably. He beat TJ Dillashaw, which Oh, he had one arm. Okay, he fought with one. That was his choice. He chose to go into that fight. How can you just make up in your own mind that you're not going to count that fight? The fight doesn't exist anymore because TJ hurt his arm. That's how the fight game goes. Aljamain Sterling hurt his arm in the fight and dislocated it again. TJ said he was good. He passed all the physicals. He got through the system and he was able to. He was in fight shape. The doctors looked at him. You don't think he was inspected before the fight? Of course he was. Obviously he was given the green light. So I hate hearing that excuse. And either way, I think Aljo would have beat him easily. Because what's TJ gonna do? Outstrike him? Yeah, he could. He could definitely outstrike him, given the fact that Aljamain Sterling is not going to shoot any takedowns. And then when Aljo does get a hold of TJ, it's Rap City. He's going to get control. And you think this is prime TJ? It was not prime TJ. It was like a 36-year-old TJ. Also, I think he beat Petr Yan in that rematch, which it was very close, of course, but I do think Aljo won. He gets no credit for that. He says it was a gifted decision. He beats Henry Cejudo. Honestly, pretty good looking Henry Cejudo. Pot, like not attractive level. I'm talking like his fighting looks pretty good. That's what I meant. But Cejudo did not look bad at all in that fight. And Aljamain 100% won. Everyone saying it was a robbery is honestly just a hater. They don't want to see Aljo win, which is fine. Fair enough, he's not the most entertaining person on earth, but his reign goes insanely under the radar. I argue that he's the second best bantamweight of all time. Dom Cruz is extremely overrated. How are you going to lose to someone like Cody Garbrandt for 25 minutes straight and get styled on? Everyone that thinks that Dom Cruz is the GOAT at this point in time just has rose-tinted glasses. Like, you're not seeing things how they actually are. You're just purely going off nostalgia, which is fine. It's always fun to look back at the past and remember the good old times, but we gotta be real for a second and admit that Dom Cruz wasn't all that in a bag of chips. I think both Aljo and Merab are better champions than Dom Cruz. So, again, Aljamain Sterling, one of the greatest bantamweights of all time, probably the second or third best, third at worst, best bantamweight of all time, and looked very good at featherweight and put on two very, I can't use the word entertaining for that Cater fight. I actually enjoyed it because I'm a big fan of Aljo, but I know some people don't like wrestling. They just want to watch Muay Thai. But personally, I think Aljo put on two great performances in featherweight, and he deserves a lot of credit. I think he should be getting a maybe Brian Ortega match up here soon. A top 5 opponent, though, for sure. At lightweight, I got a little bit of an unorthodox one. I got Beneil Dariush. You know, Beneil Dariush, he's been sitting out a while, but people forget that when Beneil Dariush steps in the cage, he always puts on some of those entertaining fights, whether he's knocking someone out or he's getting knocked out. Beneil Dariush has crazy fights. It goes way under the radar. You know, he doesn't talk out. He's a good family man, so he doesn't get the attention he deserves. But Beneil Dariush, I'm telling you, when he steps in the cage, it's all gas. He got really screwed over by the UFC. Honestly, kind of by Arman Tsarukyan at UFC 311 when Arman missed weight and he wasn't able to fight Moicano anymore. But the UFC said they would hook him up with a good fight, good deal, whatever. And they ended up just giving him Renato Moicano again. And, you know, Beneil Dariush made a comment on that fight. He said, I'll just put it here. He pretty much just said that he thinks he would have beat Makhachev if he would have fought him on that night instead of Moicano fighting him. And then people in the comments are saying, oh, this guy, so much CT, he's taking so much damage. Dude, this is the mentality you're supposed to have as one of the top fighters in the world. Why would you be a fighter and not believe you're the best? Where is that going to get you? If you don't think you're the best and you don't think you can beat the champion, then why are you still fighting? Beneil Dariush has the exact mentality he needs to be a successful fighter, and people are still hating on him. You're supposed to think you can beat the champion. If you don't, why are you there? He has this mentality. It's not even anything out of ego or being cocky. This is just how he has to think, how any fighter has to think that's towards the top of the division. He didn't say he would destroy him or that he's levels ahead of him. He thinks he would win, which is totally fine. It's okay for you to think you'd beat the best fighter in the division. Now, do I think he would beat Islam Makhachev? Of course not. But I do think he would have put up a better fight than Moicano, 100%. No one's tapping out Dariush like that. I don't care. Argue with the wall. This is going to sound crazy, but I think his jiu-jitsu is better than Moicano's. He's like a more robust, gritty freaking ground game. Like, when he has a whole man strength, when he grabs a hold of you, he squeezes your arms off. That's only 10% of his strength. Wait till you see him use 100%. He literally hit Arman Tsarukyan with a... Not Arman, excuse me. He literally hit... Fuck. He hit Mateusz Gamrot with a Call of Duty hit marker right on the chin and sent him flying into orbit, rolling around the cage, and then nonchalantly walks over, stands there and lets him get back up before he continues the ass whipping. So, Beneil Dariush, fans do not give him the credit he deserves. He's one of the most entertaining fighters in the division, and he deserves a good fight. Some fans are even crapping on him now. Like the picture I just showed you. Dude, you are lost. Beneil Dariush is a great guy, and on top of that, he's a great fighter who puts on great fights. So, people need to give this guy some respect. At welterweight, we're changing the tides here. We're going in a complete opposite direction. I got Colby Covington. Let's start with this. Not only did he get screwed over with the whole interim title situation where he was stripped of the title, he had to get a surgery, and then Usman stole his title shot and got to fight Woodley instead, where we saw Woodley and Covington. Covington still probably would have won against the version of Woodley that Usman beat. But anyways, we saw Covington get a title shot against Usman. First fight. He was arguably up on the scorecards, if not tied, going into that last round. And Usman knocks him out. Early stoppage, whatever. Usman still TKO'd him. You can't say it was a robbery, but it was a very early stoppage. Next Usman fight. Colby Covington gets dropped twice in the second round, drops the first round, and then rallies back the last 3 rounds and arguably wins the last 3. Some judges gave him the third, some gave him the fourth, some gave him the fifth, but unanimously did not give him the last 3 rounds. And he lost that fight again. But I think that fight either should have been a draw or a win for Colby, and he just got completely screwed there. He fights Jorge Masvidal, not even a title on the line, but headlines a card, and it's one of the biggest cards of the year. And then he goes to fight Edwards, breaks his foot in the first round, and still ends up dominantly taking a round off Edwards in the 5th, which he still looked like crap in that performance. But anyways, he fights Buckley after that. And back to the Leon fight real quick. I do agree it was a bit of an undeserved title shot, but anyways, no. When did he fight Masvidal? Was that after the second Usman fight? It was. So who did he fight after the first Usman fight? Oh, it was Woodley. He fought Woodley after the first Usman fight, and then he got... Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I got Woodley and Masvidal confused. But anyways, he fights Joaquin Buckley, right? Joaquin Buckley takes off the first 2 rounds. Looks good, whatever. Third round, Colby Covington starts landing takedowns. He gets some control time. He's starting to actually look decent, but there's a cut on his eye. Doctor stops the fight. Some lady comes in. Some doctor. Oh, you can't continue. Too bloody. I think she signed up for the wrong thing. I think she meant to go sign up for the recreational basketball game down the street because I don't know if she's aware or not, but when you fight, usually you bleed. Colby Covington was bleeding. On top of his eye, it was a little more than usual, but nothing crazy, nothing worse than we've seen before. And this doctor looks at him like he has 3 eyes. You know, she's grossed out, like she's never seen a drop of blood before. She calls off the fight as Colby Covington was looking good at 3rd round. I don't care what anyone says. Go back and watch the fight. Don't look at the narratives. Go watch the fight yourself. You'll see that Colby Covington was winning that 3rd round, and he was only going to get better, and Joaquin was only going to get worse because Covington has very solid cardio. We know this. We know his cardio is world class, and I'm telling you, just go watch the fight. You'll see what I'm saying. But anyways, back to the whole character thing. Colby Covington, despite not having many fans, is still one of the biggest draws in the UFC. And whether you like him or not, his fight build-ups are always entertaining, and you're always excited to see a Colby Covington press conference. So even though all these fans don't appreciate him and say they hate him, Colby Covington still is one of the biggest stars in the division. You know, even if you do hate him, you don't realize that you're playing into the game. You're falling for his rage bait. He wants you to hate him. Personally, I see above all the acts, and I can appreciate it for what it is, but some people get rage baited by the acts, and they fall into the hate. But almost no one is neutral on this guy. Everyone either hates him or loves him. And whatever side you're on, you're going to tune into his next fight. Because if you hate him, you're going to want to see him get slept. And if you love him, you're going to want to see him win. Whether you like it or not, Colby has some of the most entertaining build-ups in the UFC. And he puts on a show for the fans every time there's a press conference. So he really deserves his credit for all the amazing build-ups he's had over the past couple years, getting the fans involved. At middleweight, you got to go Izzy. That whole dog thing came out, whatever. Izzy followed some weird dog page. Then he fought in China or something. But people are so disrespectful to this guy. Like he wasn't one of the middleweight goats. Probably the 2nd or maybe 3rd now best middleweight of all time. And even in his last fight against Imavov, he won the 1st round very easily. He looked amazing until he didn't. And he got caught in the 2nd, which is the fight game. It happens. He has thousands of hours of film out there that all his opponents can study. Obviously, they're going to be able to find a weakness by now. Adesanya is similar to Covington. His build-ups are always huge. When Adesanya fights, you know it. Like, you're going to be tuned in. Again, whether you love him or hate him, you're going to tune into an Adesanya fight week. He has a huge personality, a huge following, and overall, I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good guy. You know, yeah, he's done some weird stuff, but I bet you've done some weird stuff too. So, how are you going to throw rocks from a glass house? He has very few real fans left, and people forget that he has been the only one to sleep Alex Pereira in the UFC. He's one of two people to beat him, and the only person to finish him, and finish him good. He finished him really good and hard. He was out cold. That Alex knockout, I swear, took up like Izzy sacrificed the last couple years of his prime just so he could get that knockout. Everything he had in that training camp, he gave it his all, squeezed every last bit of potential he had left, and put it all into that right hand he hit Pereira with. And then he dropped a fight to Strickland, I can't even defend that. In the Dricus fight, he was winning, he was looking real good, and then he gets caught in a submission, which sucks. If you don't respect Izzy, you don't respect MMA. And yes, he's definitely on gear. Look at his gyno right there. We know that, but so are a lot of other fighters in the UFC below Muhammad. But anyways, light heavyweight, Jamal Hill. Again, he talks. He builds his fights up. He gets people excited. Whether you love him or hate him, you want to see him fight. Whether you want to see him get slept or knock someone out, you want to see Hill fight. And Hill, again, his fights are always entertaining. He's always either getting knocked out or knocking someone out. He's one of the most entertaining fighters in the division. Obviously, not as good as Yuri. But Pereira, maybe. Pereira didn't look very entertaining in his Magomed Goliath fight, did he? No, but anyways, Jamal Hill, I think he genuinely is a good guy. You know, he has a family, kids. He truly does have a good heart. Unfortunately, his tattoo is god-awful. But that doesn't mean we can't appreciate him as a fighter. If you don't want to appreciate his tattoos, go ahead. But as a fighter, you got to give him some respect for always putting it all out there. At heavyweight, again, this is similar to the Pantoja one. Tom Aspinall. Now, between the fans love Tom Aspinall, but the UFC's disrespect on this man is absolutely absurd. Has the shortest average fight time in the UFC as a champion. If this was any other fighter in UFC history, he would be boosted to the moon. But since it's Tom Aspinall and he's in the same division where John Jones is champ, Dana is radio silent on him. He doesn't want to promote him. He doesn't want to share about him. He just wants to talk about John Jones when John Jones only has one fight in the tank left. He's putting Aspinall on ice while he's in his prime. So John can do what? Negotiate, ask for more money? Probably not even fight. You are wasting one of the biggest heavyweight potentials we've ever seen in the UFC. He could be bigger than Ngannou. He could be bigger than Velasquez, Miocic. This dude could be a superstar if you promote him right. But no, Dana wants to glaze John Jones. Beyond that, he's a very entertaining fighter. He's always swinging and banging. He's like a better version of Derek Lewis, a little more technical, plus with better grappling. And he's a good guy too. He's a good personality. He doesn't trash talk. He's real respectful. You know, he should be trash talking John Jones, but he's not. He's being respectful. He's making some funny skits, but I don't consider that trash talk. Those aren't low blows at all. He's just having fun. And he's making the best of the situation he's in. That John Jones put him in, and Dana White's keeping him in because they don't want to give him the fight. Look, either strip John Jones right now or schedule the fight. But I'm tired of this gray area where we don't know what's going on. John Jones just came out and said on Reddit that he's done. Who knows what he's talking about at this point, but again, I'm tired of this. Dana White, just do something about this. The whole community is tired with this whole stalling. We want to see some movement and just get the show on the road in the heavyweight division. John Jones, kick rocks. You're one of my favorite fighters, but I can't defend you anymore. I'm tired of it. Sucks to say, but that's just how this has to go, Johnny boy. Those are the most underappreciated UFC fighters in my opinion. If you agree or disagree with any of them, let me know in the comments. I'll respond or react to all of them as I always do. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.